Well, it's been a while. Finally, we are back with the videos on Wrexham AFC today, and we're coming back with a big video, as today we're going to be talking about the latest Wrexham AFC transfer news. As we know, the deadline for the National League does shut on Thursday, so we'll be discussing a few names that have been rumoured to join the club in this transfer window and in the summer, and we'll be talking about the players who are currently out injured and the players who are coming back from injury. Before we get any further, we are going for 14,000 subscribers. We're just over 400 away, so if you could click the red subscribe button down below, it would massively help out. And I just want to say a huge thank you to anyone who has donated to the channel by clicking the super thanks button that is next to the subscribe button. Honestly, the support you've shown me over the past few months has been absolutely mind-blowing, and I'm happy to say that I'm back. I'm going to be uploading consistently. So we're going to be starting off with the injuries. Now, we're going to be talking about the players coming back from Wrexham FC. Obviously, there's two names that everyone wants to know the answers for. When are they coming back? They are Tom O'Connor and Aaron Hayden. And I'm going to be straight up and say I think it's likely that we'll either see Hayden or O'Connor involved in the matchday squad against York City on Saturday. I'm more swaying towards the side of Hayden being in the squad more than O'Connor, because a few weeks ago someone did see Hayden and he said he was a few weeks away from returning, and that was about three and a half weeks. So I'm hopeful, and I've got my fingers crossed, that he will be back soon. And obviously, if they are involved in the matchday squad, I can't see either of them being rushed straight back into the starting 11. They'll obviously be starting on the bench, and who knows, if we're winning comfortably, they might make an appearance in the last 20 or 10 minutes or so. And like I said, with 8 games to go this season, you'd think it's a no-brainer to get your best players back and getting them rushed back into this starting 11. But I would say that's the complete opposite for Wrexham, because obviously we worked well on the summer in getting squad depth, obviously getting multiple players in one position. Take our right back spot, for example, we've got Barnett, Ford, Reynolds, Johnson, Hassana. And I think that's the beauty of what has happened since these two have been injured. Obviously, we've had Andy Cannon fill the role of Tom O'Connor perfectly, and then we've had Max Cleworth, Harry Lennon, you name it, they've all been at the back when Hayden's been out injured. And it just shows as well that we're maintaining our consistent form at the top of the table, even when we have, some could say, our best defender out and one of our best midfielders out, both through injuries. So like I said, obviously we haven't missed them massively, but when they will come back into the squad and then eventually the starting 11, it will obviously be a huge gain for us. Do I think they'll play a regular role between now and the end of this season? I think definitely for maybe the last 3 or 4 games they should definitely be in contention if they resume to full fitness. Anthony Ford has missed the last few games for Wrexham. Obviously, the club hasn't released an official statement onto where he is. Parkinson's not said much, but we do know that he missed a few games prior to his big spell out of the team due to family issues, and like I said, that should always be the way it should be. Family before football, family before anything, and we just hope that if it is family related that everything's okay with Anthony. Elliot Lee did miss the last game away at Bromley due to an illness. All I can say is I can expect him to be back in contention for our game on Saturday against York City. And now we're going to be talking about the players who have recently suffered injuries for Wrexham FC, and in really unfortunate circumstances. Rob Lainton did jolt his knee away at Bromley on the horrible 4G pitches, which in my opinion should be completely banned, because the amount of injuries that players sustain on the pitches is absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, he did jolt his knee, came off at half time. We were thinking maybe it's not too serious, maybe he's just, like we said, jolted it and needs to rest it for the second half and it's not worth risking. But it did come out after the game that he has in fact damaged his ligaments in his knee. We can sort of now expect him to be out for the remainder of the season, meaning Mark Howard will step in unless we do sign a goalkeeper in the last 3 days of the transfer deadline. Like I said, Lainton, he's been really unfortunate with injuries, especially at Bromley as well over the past few years, but it seemed like he was sort of gaining momentum, getting that place back in the first team, and then he's just been struck with that injury which wouldn't have been caused on a normal pitch. I think it's safe to say that. And another player who did come off due to a knee injury was Paul Mullin, our main striker, who did come off about 60 minutes into the game because of a niggle in his knee. Now, Parkinson's recently come out and said, after it was announced that he did suffer an injury in that game, that he is not allowed to train on 4G pitches when Wrexham do train because of his knee for some reason. It's a problem that he's looking to rectify in the summer and get sorted. Fingers crossed that Mullin will not miss York on Saturday. Like I said, hopefully he's had this week rest. Hopefully all the team will get back to their full fitness and will feel energised, ready to go for York on Saturday. And apart from those two injuries, we seem to have near enough a fully fit squad. Obviously, we've got the players coming back, which is good. And then the really unfortunate Laneton injury, which is not what we needed between now and the end of the season. We can't really moan. We've got a good squad on our hands, and I'm sure Howard will come in and will do a solid job. And now we're going on to the latest Wrexham AFC transfer rumours. The part of the video that you probably want to see the most. 3 names have been linked with a move to the Racecourse Ground in the past few days. The first one being Ryan McLaughlin is a name that Spirit of 78 did post about on Twitter. We don't know if this is true or not, or he might have just been hinting that Wrexham should put a bid in for him, but he's a right back who currently plays his football for League One side Morecambe. He's played previously for the likes of Blackpool, Oldham, Rochdale, Liverpool, where he learned his trade from a young age, so he's a proven wing back in the EFL. He's played 19 times this season. Obviously he's been hamstrung with injury for the past month or so, limiting his game time. And if this signing was to happen, I think we can sort of imagine it would be a replacement for Ford. Obviously, it's a bit of a shame what's happened to Ford. Obviously, nothing's really been said, but if we were to get another right back in, it would probably mean making space by letting Hall Johnson go, or we're simply replacing Ford whilst he has this short-term absence. Or quite possibly, I don't think this would be it, but he's looking to strengthen that right back role even further, which would mean we'd have nearly 5 players on that right hand side. And another player which is a legitimate rumour that has come from a big source is Harry Anderson. The player who currently plays for League One side Bristol Rovers is a name that Wrexham have been reportedly interested in as he enters the final few months on his contract at League One side Bristol Rovers. He's also been linked with the likes of Bradford City, Portsmouth, Charlton Athletic, so if we were to go in for Harry Anderson, we need to be prepared to go in a bidding war. Anderson is a right winger, so I don't know if this tells us anything about potential formation change if we go up as Parkinson look to tweak the formation, or what we've seen before when he's brought in players on that right hand side. A perfect example is Ryan Barnett, a winger who's played most of the season on the wing. He's dropped back into right wing back, and maybe that's what Parkinson wants to happen with Harry Anderson. He maybe wants him to play a deeper defensive right wing role. Don't forget as well, Harry Anderson played a key role in Bristol Rovers' promotion to League One last season, netting 10 goal contributions, 6 goals, 4 assists, so he's definitely a player that is EFL quality. And probably the biggest bit of news that is coming out from sources this afternoon is Wrexham are set to compete with Peterborough United for the player signing of Alfie May, the striker who plays his football at League One side Cheltenham Town. I'm currently having to look on an article to get this information because this news literally broke about 2 hours ago, so I haven't had time to research, but I've done a video on Alfie May potentially coming to Wrexham in the past. If I remember, I'll link it down in the description down below. I go into detail on what type of striker he is, but just in a brief, it's reported from John Palmer, who is a very reliable source with all news coming from Cheltenham Town. He said this afternoon that Peterborough United and Wrexham are amongst the clubs keen on Cheltenham striker Alfie May. Now, the informed striker has had interest from championship teams, so it's a bit like Harry Anderson. If we were to go in for him, we'd have to be prepared to splash the cash a bit, and I don't think Alfie May comes at a cheap price. I would say low end of 400,000 minimum. They won't accept anything less than that because he's a 29-year-old striker who's in the peak of his career, especially if there's championship clubs after him. We know that there's been a legitimate championship side after him in the past. Birmingham City, on transfer deadline day, they made an approach. Alfie May has scored 60 goals since joining Cheltenham Town in January 2020, so he's a goal scorer, he's clinical, he showed it in League One. It would be great to bring him into the club to give competition to the likes of Dolby, Palmer, Mullin. It would boost our striker options, and what a first signing it would be if we were to get back into the Football League. Like we said, a transfer fee would be needed to sign Alfie May because his contract doesn't run out until the end of the 23-24 season, and then he has the option to extend it for another 12 months, so we would need to splash the cash on him a bit. But I think we've shown with many League One players before, we have the pull power to bring them into the the club, and we've got the project and we've got the story to bring players into the club. We can sort of guarantee that this is a reliable transfer rumour. There is truth behind it. John Palmer, he's got everything right in the past with Cheltenham Town, so I think we can sort of know that there is a legitimate truth behind this rumour. When I saw it today, I was just in absolute shock, because this would be an absolutely incredible signing. Imagine the partnership of Mullin and Alfie May up top. The goals between those two in the past few seasons is through the roof. And there's only been one name that has been rumoured to leave the club, and that is unfortunately Reece Hall-Johnson. Now, it has been confirmed by the man himself, Phil Parkinson, that Reece Hall-Johnson has requested a loan move away from the club, obviously in order to get more game time. For me, I think this is a massive shame, because we've seen it in the past when we first signed Hall-Johnson. That first season down that right hand side, he was absolutely incredible. Goals, assists, creating chances, he had everything. But obviously, when we've seen the likes of Barnett come in, Ford come in, Hassana come in, he slowly dropped down the pecking order, which is a shame, because I think he is a quality right back. And even when we did make those big signings, he still played a big role in our season last year, coming up with 5 goals and having a really solid season down that right hand side. And I think a loan move for Reece could be really beneficial, because I'd like to think he is part of our plans going forward in the future. I think he should be anyway. I think he's definitely our second or third best right back that we do have in the squad. A loan move to a top half National League team, or even a team in League 2 that are looking for cover down that right hand side, I think wouldn't go amiss. I think it'd be good for him. Obviously, we just need to get players that aren't playing game time, but it's just whether we sustain an injury down that right hand side and then we've loaned out Hall-Johnson, we'd be stuck then. But Hall-Johnson asked about 2 weeks ago, I think it was, so no progress has been made as far as we're aware, but it would be interesting to see if a loan move does happen before the end of the transfer window. So yeah, that is the latest transfer news and injury news all coming out of Wrexham FC. If you enjoyed, make sure to drop a like. Let's go for 300 likes on the return of the videos. Make sure to subscribe with the notification bell on, and I'll see you probably on Saturday or maybe midweek for another video, and I'll see you in the next video.